The tour of the tiny house doesn't take long because it's not all that large, but I usually start by pointing out the air conditioner. It's actually a split system, so it has heat too, but right now it's the air conditioner, which has the remote on the wall. And then we have a smart TV, which is tapped into our wireless, and so that's hooked up to Amazon, Netflix, and Hulu, and it's all controlled with the little remote, which is really awesome. And like technologies like this are great for tiny living because you don't need a box for this, a box for that, a whole bunch of cords going everywhere. It's just all done, integrated. We call this Loft A because it's the one most people use. It's got the stairwell. And then up there's a light switch for the light that's in the loft, and then there's an outlet up there to charge your phone, which is also important these days. The kitchen is probably a quarter or maybe a third of the entire tiny house. John is a professional chef by trade. Doesn't do that any longer, but food is still a very big part of our lives. And so we have a little tiny coffee machine because that coffee is the fuel of all good things that happen in life. These curtains I actually made because they're adorable. The fabric is little beach huts, which reminded me of tiny houses, and I had to have it. My favorite part of the whole place is the farmhouse sink, and that was the one thing I would not negotiate on. I must have a deep, large sink, even as a lot of people say, tiny house, big sink, which is true. And then we have a full-size range, which again, very important for food in our house, is to be able to do a lot of things at once. And so you won't typically see something this large in a tiny house. You'll see apartment-sized things, but this was as small as we were going to go. My favorite part over here are these mugs, which were made by a local artist who sets up shop 7 days a week at the Nashville Farmers Market, which is only about a mile from here. He does beautiful work, and I am hoping to replace all of our standard stuff with his stuff over time. And then go around here, we have the couch, which has storage inside, although our short-term guests generally don't need that. We do keep sheets and towels and stuff in here because this folds out into a twin. And then we have the bathroom, which is a little small, but what else do you expect in a tiny house? It has a dry flush toilet, which is a whole new experience in mobile waste. It's kind of the combination between an airline toilet and a diaper genie. So it uses cartridges, and so there's no black water, which is awesome. And then we just have a regular sink, and we have the shower, which has a Bluetooth shower head so that you can hook it up and listen to music in the shower, because I know that music's important to everybody, but especially people in Nashville. But yeah, the water that's used in the tiny house is all considered gray water, and it goes currently down into plastic receptacles. And John and I are working on creating a filtration system so that we can reclaim that gray water and use it in the garden and in the yard. It's probably pretty usable right now. I mean, if you consider all the stuff that comes off the roads and off the roof when it rains, comparatively, it's probably not that bad. But it's still good to kind of purify things before putting them in your yard and stuff. So it'll probably be a system that includes sand and charcoal, and then we'll just pump it out into the garden and the yard.
And what's the square footage?
The square footage, not counting the lofts, is 204. It's 24 feet long, 8 feet wide, which works out to about 204 square feet. Probably the best way without having to search for it is to go to our website, which is musiccitytinyhouse.com. And you can also follow us on Facebook, musiccitytinyhouse.com, or no, Music City Tiny House on Facebook. And I share a whole bunch of things, not just about our tiny house, but about the movement in general, which is, I've said, is really why we're doing this. The rental is nice because it really gets people to spend the night and kind of feel what it's like to move around and live in the space. But if you're just interested in learning more about what's going on in the movement, both from, like, hey, this is kind of cool, I've never thought of doing this, or zoning or regulation wise, I share a lot of that stuff too.